Bitcoin conferences are fascinating things. Every year, the most orange-pilled among us gather to discuss Bitcoin's incredible potential, filling the air with bullish energy. And yet, every conference has been a sell the news event. And it's not surprising then that history seems to have repeated. But dare we ask, could this time actually be different?
Everything could be different.
Well, we watched all 27 plus hours of the conference livestream, and today we'll be giving you all the highlights as we aim to answer what comes next for Bitcoin. My name is Guy. Stay tuned. Way back in 2011, when Bitcoin was still a baby, the first ever Bitcoin conference was held in New York. There were fewer than 100 attendees, and speakers included Bruce Wagner, Gavin Andresen, Jeff Garzik, and Stephen Thomas. Oh, and fun fact, admission cost 1 BTC, $20 at the time. Now, while that was the first recorded Bitcoin conference, the first major conference was held in San Jose, California back in 2013. Organized by the Bitcoin Foundation, it focused on the wide range of problems Bitcoin aimed to address. Since then, there's been an annual Bitcoin conference, and the biggest one of all is hosted by Bitcoin Magazine, who first hosted in San Francisco in 2019. The event has run every year since, drawing thousands of attendees, even during the pandemic. But why is the Bitcoin conference so important? Well, for one thing, it's a great opportunity for people to meet up with like-minded individuals and potentially make friends for life. It's also a prime source of inspiration and insight, offering direct access to industry experts and, of course, plenty of alpha. But most importantly, the Bitcoin conference is often the stage for major announcements, some of the most bullish in Bitcoin's history, reserved exclusively for the event. For example, at the 2021 conference in Miami, El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele announced that the country would adopt Bitcoin as legal tender, making it the first nation on Earth to officially recognize BTC as currency. And of course, we'd be remiss not to mention the Bitcoin 2024 conference in Nashville, which you may recall featured an unforgettable speech from none other than, that's right, Russell Brand. Oh, and there was also the small matter of Donald J. Trump delivering the first ever presidential campaign speech at a Bitcoin conference too. Trump's attendance at last year's conference had Bitcoin enthusiasts everywhere buzzing with excitement about this year's event, which, by the way, was hosted in Las Vegas, Nevada. So, without further ado, if you're ready to get into it, fire up that like button, smash the subscribe, and punch that notification bell for good measure. Oh, and if you're looking to trade Bitcoin, or any other crypto for that matter, then check out the Coin Bureau deals page. That's where you'll find sign-up bonuses of up to $100,000, trading fee discounts of up to 50%, and deposit cashbacks of up to 75% on crypto exchanges. So be sure to take advantage of these limited time deals using the link below. So, the recent Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas took place just last month. Let's start with Day 1, aka Industry Day. Now, unlike days 2 and 3, Day 1 was exclusive to attendees with either a Pro or Whale Pass. That said, it was anything but quiet. The conference drew over 35,000 attendees in total, with an estimated 25% holding Pro or Whale Passes, so roughly 9,000 people. Day 1 kicked off with Steak and Shake COO Dan Edwards, who announced that all locations in the US, France, Monaco, and Spain now accept BTC, cutting payment processing fees by 50%. He also revealed future plans involving AI tech like robotaxis, cyber chefs, and drones, and unveiled a special Bitcoin meal created just for the event. Things then got more serious from here on in, with a discussion between 3 US senators, Cynthia Lummis, Marsha Blackburn, and Jim Justice. Lummis highlighted Trump's support for the Bitcoin Act, which aims for the US to acquire 1 million BTC over 5 years. She also said the White House will legislate stablecoins, market structure, and the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, or SBR, in that order. Notably, Lummis called the SBR a key geopolitical advantage, backed by military generals, and noted that the US holds 5% of the world's gold and should match that with BTC. What's fascinating is that the US holds gold certificates priced at 1974 values, between $36 and $46. Lummis says they can bring these certificates to today's gold valuations, over $3,000 each, and then convert them to BTC without spending a dime. Smart move. Intriguingly, Senator Blackburn said the SBR provides stability not seen in government bonds, fiat, or gold, effectively endorsing Bitcoin as superior to those assets. She also said the US should add to its crypto reserves. Meanwhile, Senator Justice seemed a little panicked, saying Bitcoiners, quote, hold all the power, begging for help with the $37 trillion national debt. A little later, the stage was graced by Tron's Justin Sun, alongside Bitwise's Hunter Horsley and BitGo's Mike Belshie. Notably, Horsley noted a shift from a 1% to a 2 to 5% BTC allocation among traditional and institutional investors. Sun praised Trump's crypto policies and said growing US institutional adoption will drive global adoption. He added that he's been in Bitcoin since 2012 and it's always gone up. Belshie was more cautious, saying crypto regulations will, and should, take a long time, and pointed to Bitcoin's quantum threat, saying he's questioned about it every month. More about that later. Next, Bo Hines, Executive Director of the Presidential Council of Advisors for Digital Assets, and Tyler Williams from the US Treasury took the stage. Williams announced a major report due on the 22nd of July, the government's first comprehensive digital asset strategy, covering tax, market structure, the SBR, and more. Hines, meanwhile, highlighted the bipartisan support for the Genius Act, with Williams calling it the most unified financial effort since 2018, one even praised by foreign central banks. Hines said the biggest challenge is Congress's lack of crypto knowledge, calling it the least partisan issue in Congress. Later, BlackRock's Robert Mitchnick said that while demand for spot Bitcoin ETFs has been unprecedented, it's still early days. He said institutions view BTC not as a risk-on asset, but as a portfolio hedge and differentiator, and predicted BTC will eventually decouple from the broader crypto market. Some would say that's already started. Anyways, Cynthia Lummis then returned to the stage, saying stablecoins were the priority because they're, quote, a plain vanilla asset and the easiest way to get Congress engaged with crypto. She emphasized that market structure is next and criticized the current tax system, pointing out that Bitcoin miners are taxed when they mine and when they sell. Then Senator Bill Hagerty and Representative Tom Emmer joined Sam Kazemian of Frax and David Marcus of Lightspark. Hagerty said they're pushing crypto regulation forward ASAP, but face delays from opposition led by Senator Elizabeth Warren. Both Hagerty and Emmer noted President Trump wants stablecoin rules passed before the August recess. Next up was Farah Shahzad of Coinbase, alongside House Representatives Byron Donalds and Brian Stale. Not confusing at all. They said Trump's spotlight on crypto is speeding up legislation. Shahzad added that billions in investor capital remain on the sidelines due to fears of regulatory scrutiny. Crypto czar David Sachs was next on stage, although honestly, not much was said. He recalled Trump attending last year's Nashville conference just a month after a dinner Sachs himself had hosted, where Trump first learned about crypto's unfair treatment. Sachs added that the US can accumulate more BTC if done in a budget-neutral way. And then closing day one was the president's son, Donald Trump Jr., who shared that after being debanked and deinsured in 2020 due to his political involvement, he saw the system's flaws and grew to appreciate Bitcoin as a champion of freedom. He was then asked if he orange-pilled his dad, and he basically said yes, along with his brother Eric, but emphasized that democratizing finance ranks alongside world peace in Trump's presidential goals. Now, the following day saw a full house with all 35,000 plus pass holders in attendance. From our perspective, days 2 and 3 were far more engaging than day 1, so those who skipped the exclusive access didn't miss much. Anyway, day 2 opened with arguably the conference's most important speaker, US Vice President J.D. Vance. While Trump attended Nashville last year, he was still a presidential candidate at that point, thus making Vance the highest-ranking political figure to attend a Bitcoin conference. Anyway, Vance said that 50 million Americans currently own BTC, expecting this to double soon. He praised DeFi for revolutionizing transactions and banking the unbanked. He framed crypto as a hedge against bad policies and the elite's control of technology, emphasizing Bitcoin isn't just flashy tech, but a powerful symbol of personal liberty. He also vowed that the current administration won't obstruct crypto, noting that they fired Gary Gensler. Well, they didn't, he resigned, and will do the same to anyone similar. On stablecoins, he said they strengthen, not threaten, the US dollar. He stressed the need for clear crypto regulations and crypto's integration into the economy, before closing with 3 key points. First, the crypto community must carry 2024's political momentum forward. Second, as China leans away from Bitcoin, the US should lean towards it. And third, while the left favors AI and the right favors BTC, everyone should support both since they impact each other. Meanwhile, James Howells, famous for losing a hard drive with 8,000 BTC in a Newport, UK landfill, joined the presenting desk. He said he's tried to recover it since 2012 with a recovery team, but claims Newport City Council blocked every effort, leading to legal action and 2 failed High Court cases. Now he's got a new plan: tokenize 21% of the lost BTC as ordinals to raise $75 million and buy the landfill outright. The entire saga is being turned into a documentary, potentially making Netflix and chill a lot more interesting. Anyway, back on the stage, representatives from Kraken, Robinhood, eToro, and Xapo Bank shared their insights. Kraken's Dave Ripley said Wall Street is closely watching who's buying GBTC and the Bitcoin ETFs, and how much capital is flowing from traditional platforms to crypto. Meanwhile, eToro's Andrew McCormick pointed out that while everyone is focusing on reserves and treasuries, they're ignoring the 300,000 US financial advisors barred from discussing Bitcoin with their clients. Next up, Riot's Jason Less, BitDeer's Harris Bassett, and TerraWolf's Nazar Khan discussed high-performance computing, or HPC. Less noted both Bitcoin mining and HPC rely on huge power loads, creating profit potential where power is cheap. Conversely, Bassett and Khan pointed out the differences. Mining is more power cost sensitive at $400,000 to $500,000 per megawatt, while HPC depends heavily on location and bandwidth, costing $7 to $8 million per megawatt and scaling into the billions. Next came arguably the second biggest announcement of the conference, delivered by Bilal bin Saqib. Representing Pakistan's government, Saqib revealed plans to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve inspired by the US. He also announced 2,000 megawatts dedicated to Bitcoin mining and AI data centers, and initiatives to tokenize illiquid assets, launch digital IDs, and build public infrastructure. Then, Eric and Donald Trump Jr. returned to the stage, joined by Mike Ho and Matt Prusak of President Trump's mining firm, American Bitcoin. It was quickly revealed that Eric is crypto through and through. He said he was debanked from Wells Fargo for holding 1 BTC and has since seen the traditional finance sector as, quote, absolutely weaponized. He even said, quote, I would love to see some of the big banks go extinct because honestly, they deserve it. Eric added that crypto fixes every TradFi problem, which is why banks fear it. All 4 speakers were then asked to give their BTC price predictions for next year's conference. Eric guessed 170K, while Don Jr. said anywhere between 150 and 175K. Mike Ho was more optimistic at 200K, while Matt Prusak said that if we do things right, BTC could hit 7 figures. Wow, just imagine the parties under those circumstances. Now, next up was Blockstream's Adam Back. For those unaware, Back is a key figure in Bitcoin's origin story. He was contacted by Satoshi before Bitcoin launched and is even cited in the white paper. Anyway, Back emphasized that Bitcoin is still in its early days, but the growing involvement of political leaders and corporate executives signals that its social layer is scaling impressively. Then, to spice things up a bit, attendees of the conference got to enjoy a debate between Trace Mayer of Urim Capital and Peter Schiff, the notorious anti-Bitcoin goldbug. Watching Schiff fumble through his anti-Bitcoin arguments was comedy gold. Ironically, he could have bought BTC at under $1 per coin, but decided it wasn't unique. He then considered buying again at $400, but couldn't justify it. Schiff said that Bitcoin is actually worthless and bizarrely argued that it's just digital fiat. He says we're all delusional and are just in a Satoshi-worshipping cult. You'll have to check out the whole debate in your own time, but we couldn't help but laugh at the many contradictions in Schiff's argument. And to think he could have become the richest man on earth. Thank the Lord Satoshi he didn't. Now, day 2 wrapped up with 2 final panels, though they mostly echoed familiar themes about Bitcoin's global importance. Nothing you savvy folks haven't heard before. Okay, now, day 3 of the 2025 Bitcoin conference was arguably the most memorable, opening with SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce. A vocal crypto supporter, Peirce emphasized that while the SEC has dropped some lawsuits, the industry isn't lawless. She blamed regulatory ambiguity for enabling bad actors and pushing others offshore. Peirce emphasized the SEC's reversal from the Gary Gensler era, adding that most crypto assets, in her view, aren't securities. She also said that crypto shouldn't be over-regulated, even riskier assets like meme coins. Basically, it comes down to personal responsibility. If you lose money gambling on memes, don't expect a bailout. As for businesses, Peirce clarified that the SEC's job isn't to dictate what companies can hold on their balance sheets, only that they disclose this information to investors. How things have changed in just one short year, eh? Anyway, next up, Tether CEO Paolo Ardoino joined Cantor Fitzgerald's Brandon Lutnick, now Cantor's CEO after his father Howard became US Commerce Secretary. Lutnick announced a gold-backed Bitcoin fund offering downside protection with physical gold, aiming to attract more investors to Bitcoin's ecosystem, predicting other Wall Street firms will soon follow suit. Meanwhile, Ardoino revealed that Tether is one of the world's largest Bitcoin miners, which very few people know, and hinted that more details are coming, before adding that he expects BTC to hit, quote, insane levels from here. Next came a surprise visit from Paris Saint-Germain Football Club, as in real football. With supposedly 500 million fans worldwide, over 80% of whom are under 34, PSG aligns closely with crypto's core demographic. Now, I for one am somewhat doubtful that a Parisian football club is supported by over 6% of people on the planet, but hey, I'm no expert on football. Anyway, last year, the club added BTC to its reserves and launched PSG Labs to promote Bitcoin ventures and entrepreneurship among its global fanbase. And hey, just a few days after this announcement was made, PSG won the Champions League for the first time in their history. Coincidence? I think not. Anyway, Tether's Paolo Ardoino then returned solo, revealing that Tether holds over 100,000 BTC and more than 50 tons of gold. Tether is also expanding USDT to the Bitcoin Lightning Network and investing $2 billion in energy and mining. Ardoino also highlighted Tether's suite of products, a wallet dev kit, a privacy-focused intelligence platform, and a peer-to-peer chat app with BTC transfers. Next up, Jameson Lopp of Casa and the gloriously named Hunter Beast of Summernet discussed Bitcoin's looming quantum threat. Now, for those unsure, quantum computers may eventually be able to reverse engineer private keys from public keys, posing a major risk to Bitcoin's security. Lopp outlined several mitigation strategies, all with trade-offs, and called for a deadline to move BTC to quantum-proof wallets to combat procrastination. He also cautioned against a paternalistic stance on any unmoved BTC. Hunter Beast suggested using hierarchical deterministic, or HD, wallets, which generate a new receive address for each transaction, reducing exposure. He also highlighted a drafted proposal called Hourglass, which would delay the sale of about 1.7 million lost Satoshi-era BTC. Lopp, though, called this a partial solution, noting it overlooks the roughly 4 million other lost coins. Next came another politician, only this time from the UK, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage. Farage unveiled the Crypto Assets Digital Finance Bill 2025, which would roll out if Reform wins the next UK general election. This plan echoes Trump's policies, but with some nuance. It sets a crypto capital gains tax of 10%, which Farage described as reasonable. The plan also proposes a Bitcoin digital reserve at the Bank of England and protections against sudden debanking, something Farage himself has personal experience of. He highlighted that 7 million Brits, including 1 in 4 under 30, own crypto, yet the UK's only notable move in the space has been prepping the awfully named Britcoin as central bank digital currency. Farage described this as the ultimate form of tyranny and vowed to oppose it. He closed by announcing reform as the UK's first party to accept crypto donations. Now, next came the highly anticipated Jack Mallers, who presented what he calls, quote, the hodler dilemma. Mallers expertly explained that as fiat currencies are printed and lose value, life becomes less affordable, forcing everyone into borrowing and debt. Naturally, Bitcoin is the perfect solution, but therein lies a problem. At some point, we need fiat for everyday living costs. So the dilemma is, when do we sell the world's most superior asset to buy fiat? Well, Mallers explained that there's another option. That's because Bitcoin is also the world's best collateral asset. So instead, you can consider borrowing against it. That way, you don't sell your BTC, but you can still use it to create the life that you want. Then, later in the day, the loudest cheers of the entire conference were heard as Strategy's Michael Saylor walked onto the stage. I mean, every single person there, barring maybe Peter Schiff, is richer thanks to him, so it's hardly surprising he got a warm welcome. Saylor gave an inspirational presentation called, quote, The 21 Ways to Wealth. Now, while we can't cover all 21 steps here, we highly recommend you check it out if you get the chance. And finally came the headline event, the historic speech by Silk Road founder Ross Ulbricht, following his full pardon by President Trump and release from prison. As many of you will know, Ulbricht was sentenced to die in prison, being given 2 life sentences plus another 40 years without the possibility of parole. And what's crazy is that his speech at Bitcoin 2025 took place on the 10th anniversary of his sentencing. What a redemption arc. Opening with a casual, hey gang, Ross delivered a powerful, deeply personal talk on freedom. His unique perspective was genuinely thought-provoking. When he was sent down, there was only one Bitcoin exchange, and BTC was around $400. He returned to thousands of different cryptos, Web3, DeFi, AI, and much more besides. And he explained that as tech rapidly evolves, the crypto community must stay grounded in 3 core principles: freedom, decentralization, and unity. By doing so, he says, we can achieve anything. And that about wraps up Bitcoin 2025, a conference buzzing with talks of freedom and, ironically, a record number of politicians. We'll link to some standout talks below, so feel free to dive deeper if you're craving your orange pill fix. Now though, as we mentioned at the start of this video, every Bitcoin conference has resulted in BTC's price taking a hit, and this year was no exception. Shortly after Bitcoin 2025, BTC fell by around 5%, although we should caveat that this isn't as bad as previous years. It dropped 20% after Bitcoin 2024. So then, what does all of this mean for BTC's price? Well, the energy from this year's conference was wildly bullish. Bitcoin adoption is accelerating. More businesses are becoming BTC treasury holders. Nations are mining and accumulating. It's used in trade, and in some cases, it's even legal tender. Still, investors everywhere have the same question. What's next? What's left to unlock? How much steam does this rocket have left? Bitcoin is feeling frothy, but the same can't be said for altcoins, many of which have yet to reclaim their all-time highs from January, or in most cases from the 2021 bull cycle. The reason for this is simple. Bitcoin dominance continues to climb, just as it has been doing since August 2022. Aside from a brief dip in November 2024, it's been up only and is currently sitting at 63%. As such, BTC's price is set to keep on climbing from here. And if you're wondering about how high it could go, then we recently put out a video analyzing some of the top Bitcoin price predictions, which you can find right over here. In any case, if Bitcoin's bullish momentum continues, dominance could easily surpass its January 2021 peak of 74%. But ultimately, what goes up must come down. And when BTC cools off and dominance finally begins to fall, well then, alt season can finally ignite. The trillion-dollar question remaining now is, when? Okay, if you found today's video useful, show those like and subscribe buttons some love. If you want to learn more about the pro-crypto stance of the SEC, then check out this video right over here. And if you want to avoid falling for the biggest mistakes in crypto, then check out the video right here. Okay, thank you all so much for watching. My name is Guy, and I'll see you again soon.